Hey everyone, Riley and Ethan with Kite Paddle Surf here. Today we're taking a look at the Armstrong HAV2s. These have been on the market for a while now. We've had a chance to spend a lot of time on every size. We really like these foils. I think they're going to be relevant for a long time. So we just wanted to give you some quick thoughts on sizing. If you haven't made the jump into the HA lineup yet, maybe you're coming off a mid aspect or a low aspect foil and you're ready to make that leap into kind of the next level of performance. So yeah, we're just gonna kind of run through the sizes and what we like for different conditions, and yeah, hopefully give you guys some recommendations as far as what size you want to go with.
All right, Riley. What foils were you riding before these came out, and what HAs kind of felt like they had the right lift characteristics for your riding style, but in the new HA V2 foils?
Yeah. So with the previous gen MAs, so the V1 MAs, rode the 1000 a ton, rode the 1225 a lot, rode the 800 a good bit on the bigger days. I would say the like 1000 and the 1225 were kind of my go-tos for most days. So when these came out, initially I got a 980 and a 780. Thinking, kind of use the 9 as the light wind foil, 7 as the higher wind foil. And then kind of kept trying smaller ones, rode the 8 and the 6, and they just kept working.
Yeah.
I kind of have settled on the 880 as that sort of lighter wind, smaller wave day foil, and the 680 for me at 190 pounds is the kind of step up, a little bit bigger days, higher winds, a little bit bigger swell out there.
All of the marketing will say this, but it's really important to realize that for their surface area, these foils have way more lift than most all previous Armstrong foils, but especially the mid aspects. I know when they got released and I got all the info, riding the 1000 a lot, I was like, oh, I'll get the 1080. That'll be perfect. And I rode it once, winging. It was fun, but it's definitely not what I look for in a wing foil. Front wing is just a little slow and had so much lift. So that'd be more like a really light wind performance foil. So I think for the most part, if you're coming off of the original mid aspect foils, you'd want to drop like 200-ish square centimeters to keep the relatively the same lift, initial lift. 580.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to say about this foil? It's pretty small.
It's pretty small. For wing foiling, I'd say that's either your big wave day, high wind day, surprising lift for how tiny it is. So
Totally.
I would say if your board's planing, you can probably get that thing up. So if you like going really fast, it's a great foil. For me, kind of trying to pair the foil with the wave, I would say to keep that foil going, I want some pretty good swell.
Yeah.
Powered up with the wing, you can rip, but I would say lighter riders in good size waves or heavier riders in kind of bigger swell for the 5 and 480.
Or maybe like racing or a niche kind of, if you're, speed is your thing. I think it's always funny to think about when we started foiling, our stabilizer was 450 square centimeters, and things have really changed. This one's a demo, had a lot of use. You ride this thing all the time, so I'll let you talk about this one.
Yeah, the 680. This is my favorite foil, I think, of the range. Just when it's good, when there's decent swell here in Bellingham Bay. Take this to the gorge. It's narrow enough that you can crank it around. It's really fun to ride, but it's pretty amazing the glide and the stall speed that you get out of this foil.
Yeah.
You know, even bigger riders, like people are really loving these. I would say it's probably not a quiver killer for me. You know, I like to ride a bigger foil on lighter wind days or, you know, smaller swell days. But, you know, if you have the ability to throw in an extra foil for good wind, good wave, winging days, this is definitely worth a look.
Yeah, I think that one's really popular with a lot of like the local Armstrong people here in town as like the smaller foil, and then whether it's the 8 or the 9 is the bigger one, but that's really popular. I think it's really impressive how much speed, like the speed range of that foil is phenomenal, and it's really impressive how fast you can go and carry that glide, but also there are like the low stall speed is still totally noticeable.
Yeah, it's like a ripping foil in the waves, but then you can still connect over. Like if it is a kind of a mediocre day, you can still milk some pretty small waves and get away with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, on those lighter days, definitely the bigger ones, the 7 and the 8, really start to shine.
780. I just rode this thing a handful of times in the gorge on pretty good days, and I think it still is small enough that it performs well. And I mean, not big waves, but you know, more powered than what we have here in the summer months.
Getting into the 7 and 8, you're kind of getting into that sort of quiver
Mid-tier
killer range where like 780, you can kind of do everything.
Yeah.
Like it's fast. It can hang out on bigger swell. You know, you might be straight line and stuff and hanging out on the shoulder a little bit more on like bigger waves where,
Right.
you know, these guys, you can kind of carve turns down the face.
Sure.
But like if you're talking kind of one foil that can handle pretty much any conditions, the 780 is super fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like you said, I think for a lot of people are just getting one full HA to do everything. Yeah, the 7 and the 8 are both really good choices. Bring out the 8 too. Maybe you're, you know, a little bit of a heavier rider, or if you're in lighter wind conditions, but you're still, you know, a solid intermediate foiler, the 880 could be your quiver killer as well.
Yeah, the 880, like on smaller wave days, you know, we get a lot of those here.
Yeah.
I think that's my go-to for kind of those mediocre knee to waist high days where you want to milk it, but you also want to have fun out there. Like,
yeah, I would say I've ridden the 880 more than any other foil, just because I picked one up, and it's, yeah, it works for everything really well. I've rode it throughout the winter here, so we have days where it's blowing 50 and it's hectic out there. When a lot of people will be on a 680, the 880 still works really well. I think one benefit it does have is we get really, really gusty winter conditions, and you can just like almost kind of flag out the wing neutrally, and you can just like putz along so slow through the really big gusts. And I think that is totally a benefit of having a slightly bigger foil. Also, yeah, it does turn really well. And I think the only negative I've really noticed of riding it like in really overpowered conditions is if there are big swell, if you are like cranking up wind, you just get a lot of like kick out of the foil when you're going over waves. You just get a lot of lift, so it can be a little kind of hard to deal with that sometimes. Whereas, you know, like the 680 would not get as much lift from those bumps and kind of just like cruise right through them.
yeah, I do think, especially if you pair that foil with a smaller tail, like the Dart 120.
Dart 120.
That foil is so fun.
Yeah.
With a small tail and small waves, like loosens it up, and you can just crank it around. But it
100%.
also just glides for days, and
Yeah.
it's super fun to ride in those kind of smaller wave conditions.
Getting into more of the light wind, high aspect foils here. 980. You've ridden this thing a lot.
I rode the 980 a lot right when they came out, and I really enjoyed it. I haven't ridden it in a bit, though. I did take it out trying to learn how to parawing.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be pretty ideal for that.
Totally.
This foil, I would say, killer light wind foil for most riders. Maybe heavier riders kind of slides into that 880 replacement position where, you can definitely have a good time on that foil. Definitely gets into that wider span as you get up in size. So, you're going to have more glide, not quite the turning capability, but it's still a super fun foil to ride. I think I would compare it pretty directly to like the 1225, maybe kind of in between the 1225 and the 1475.
I would almost think more of the 1475 personally.
Yeah, sort of that good light wind, but also fun.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be my go-to. But if I, was in a place with really light conditions or, heavier riders, I would say the 980 would be a good kind of quiver killer foil.
Yeah, I think you mentioned we both tried this pair winging, and I think pair winging is a good thing to bring up because, when people are getting into downwind pair winging, a lot of people are going to be doing downwind runs. They're going to need to be on efficient foils.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to be running a low aspect foil. I think a 980 for most riders around 170, 100 or to 200 pounds would be a really, really good option.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the 1080, maybe the 880 if you're in big waves, but worth noting for sure.
Yeah, I felt like it made it easy. You can't really pump the parawing,
right?
So just that gradual lift that you get with these, that 980, it's a fun foil.
Yeah, I think. Would you say like where do you see like the gradual lift kind of stop? I feel like the 6 or 7
maybe.
Yeah.
You definitely like kind of have to power it up and But yeah, the 9 especially, you just feel it. It's like a 747 taking off. Just slow.
Yeah, absolutely perfect for our first time using the pair wing.
Yeah, 1080. Light wind. Big riders.
Big riders, light wind. I think I know a lot of people have gotten that foil, and for winging they've used it to like practice, go out winging, but practice for downwinding. So just like trying to get as much time as they can flagging out the wing, and riding swell.
Yeah, I think we could almost kind of combine with the 11 here. Like,
I agree.
They're similar. The 11 is just, you can go so slow and just keep riding. It's pretty close in terms of feel for me. There's a noticeable difference in speed, but as far as like stall speed, they both can go pretty darn slow. I do think, if you're talking maximizing downwind ability, the 1180 and it takes the cake there. That foil just glides forever. You can go super slow. As far as wing foiling, I would say probably both. I would go, bigger riders, or really trying to maximize that downwind glide.
Yeah, bigger riders, people who ride in really light wind. We have a lot of customers who are in inland lakes and stuff, and it's kind of a whole different thing where you really need to get gear oriented towards that. So I think they're really popular there. I've taken the 1080 winging. It was fun to test and go downwind, and like you can just go for days, but it definitely feels really slow. I think there's feels different than the 980. 980 still feels like a good all-around wing foil. getting into the 1080, it's definitely slow upwind, but fun downwind.
I do have one question. You get one. What's it going to be?
Oh, 780.
Yeah.
I've had just the 880 for a while, but I think I'd switch to the 780.
Good in pretty much anything.
Yeah. 880, 680 is so good, but if I had to have one, 780. I feel good about that answer.
I think I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for watching. If you're considering getting an HA foil and you want help or someone to bounce ideas off of, I think it's really helpful to know like your weight, where you're riding, what the wind speed is, and your skill level overall, and what foils you have been riding before. If you drop that down in the comments below, we'll be super happy to read, provide our input, and help you answer any questions you have.
Yeah. Or give us a call at the shop.
Yeah.
Smash the like button.
Smash the like button.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Cheers.